This is Things Police See, First-Hand Accounts, with your host, Steve Gold.
Hey guys, welcome to the podcast. In this interview, I chat with retired Los Angeles Deputy Sheriff Robert Rangel. Not only is Robert a retired police officer, but he's also an accomplished author. I should have mentioned this at the top of the interview, but I'm not used to having people on here that actually have some credits in the entertainment industry, so I kind of botched that, so I'm doing it now. His last book is called The Red Dot Club: Victims' Voices. In these books, he breaks down the events in police officers' lives while they're on duty when someone tries to murder them. And it's super interesting. It gets super, super good reviews. It's on Amazon. You can order it there. So he just breaks down like the 5 to 10 second events when someone's trying to murder a cop and just kind of extrapolates out that time frame by going into the cop's mind and seeing what they were thinking. He actually does that in this interview for an event when he was on duty when someone tried to murder him and his partner. So it's if you like this interview, you'll absolutely love the book. So I had to kind of fix that up front. Sorry about that, Robert. I'm still learning here. I will have to warn you. Sometimes I ask people, what's the most bizarre or craziest call you went to? And I always tell them, don't hold back. Tell me it. Just say it, because I don't want this show to be, I don't want to censor cops. I want people to know the crazy stuff cops see. And Robert really delivers on this. His crazy moment is, it's insane. It's disgusting. It's perverse. It's really upsetting. So I just want to warn you, it's the middle story. I think I'll put a timestamp in the notes so you can skip by it if you want. I do not censor anybody who comes on the show, and I encourage all the officers I talk to just bring the real stories. That's what this podcast is about. So if it really happened, we want to hear about it. This is a fantastic interview. Super thankful that Robert came on. And without further ado, here it is. Robert, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I'm so excited to have you. You were a Los Angeles County deputy sheriff for a detective. For how many years were you on?
I was on 13 years.
13 years. And you were stationed mainly, or where was your last station?
My last station was West Hollywood, which is very strange and bizarre area. You see a lot of different things. Yeah. Before that, I was down in South Central LA, and then the jails before that. Okay.
So, Robert, can you tell us the first time in police work early in your career that you went on a call and you had that, your first hot call, that first adrenaline dump when you were like, holy cow, this stuff's for real?
Well, I'll tell you, it didn't take long. It was actually before I was even sworn. We have a program with LA County Sheriff called the Ride Along Program. And what you do is you, as a civilian, you ride along with the deputies. And so I went out to Firestone Station, and there was a call of a man and a woman having a fight in the middle of the street. The deputies were there when we got there. Things were settling down. And then all of a sudden we hear bam, 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 bam. Everyone looked at each other, jammed, and ran to their cars. All the cars took off in different directions.
I bet.
And we drove to the end of the block. As soon as we made a right, this guy comes running, screaming down the sidewalk, running toward us, waving his hands in the air. My cousin, he gone crazy. I think he done killed somebody.
Oh, jeez.
And I'm thinking, this is my first hour ever in a radio car, in a police car. And I thought, this is the job I want right here. And we were going to where the gunfire was, So it doesn't get any more real than that, man,
Yeah, I can only imagine your head was probably spinning.
Well, it turned out to be a guy who it was his birthday. He was just out of prison, and he decided to celebrate by smoking some PCP angel dust.
That's how we all celebrate usually.
Yeah, took his gun and just started shooting up the house.
Oh my goodness.
A couple of kids in there. There were, like a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old kid in there. And I think the mom was in there. And then this guy was the nephew that was running and, trying to flag us down.
So when this happened to you, like you're this early on in your career, did you feel, you obviously felt the excitement, you were excited. Was it also kind of freaky for you? Did you have that big, like, whoa, I got to hold on to my seat here?
Well, I had asked one of the deputies before, hey, what's it like when you get these hot calls? Are they scary? And he looked at me, he says, no, you get a rush. And when this happened, when I was in the car, I got the rush. And I think some people probably might not.
Right.
And if they think they might not get a rush out of that, I don't think it's a job for them. But if that's something, thinking that you're going to go and handle a man who's shooting up a place, if that's something that gives you an adrenaline rush to think that you're in charge of that situation, then it's probably the job for you.
Absolutely. Yeah, I remember when I became a police officer, there was a retired chief that was still a reserve on our department. He'd work like once a month. And he always said that a police officer is it takes a very special kind of person to do the job, a fine line.
Yeah, you have to have that little daring, a little bit of daring, a little bit of carelessness, deep caring about other people, empathy, and there's a whole broad range of things that it takes. But definitely, when you're there, it's not a movie. It's real, and you're in charge now, and now the rubber's met the road. So yeah, pretty interesting when you go through stuff like that.
Absolutely, yeah, because no one really knows how they're going to react, or physiologically or mentally to a situation. So
yeah,
that's when you found out it was for you.
Yeah, right. And then when I went out on patrol, my first week we had 6 murders. So, and then you multiply that times the people that got shot, stabbed, beat, that didn't die in that week, probably. So you had 60 other people that probably could have died, or that were shot or beat but didn't die. And that's the intensity of violence that was out when I first went to patrol my first week. And yeah, the sun comes up and you think, I didn't die, I'm still alive. I mean, that's a strange thought to have, that you didn't die that night.
Yeah, that's not normal. That's not what most people do at the end of the day. And this was West Hollywood, right?
Oh, no. West Hollywood was
the end.
This is down in South Central LA,
okay.
right by Watts. It's Lenox Sheriff Station.
Okay. I was just going to ask you, I guess West Hollywood has changed a lot.
Oh yeah, no. That West Hollywood was my last assignment. This is where I first started patrol down in South Central LA. They called it. I read an article here not too long ago that the area, one of the streets I worked, they called it the Murderer's Alley. It was such a high amount of murders that went on in a certain strip up and down that street. In the year that I was there.
Yeah, that area is crazy. I remember I came across an old like vintage ad. I forget where I saw it even. Maybe at some shop in Los Feliz or something. But it was an ad for Compton, and it was these people standing on their front lawn, and everybody had a white picket fence, and everything looked okay. But it was from the 40s or something before.
Yes.
Before it was just suburban. It wasn't any kind of crime capital of the country.
That's right.
Totally.
It was a nice area.
Totally bizarre. Robert, can you tell us about the most bizarre or strange call that you went on? That was just kind of like blew your mind.
Well, once you get through the blood and guts of Lenox and you get up to West Hollywood, my partner kind of said it best. He said, West Hollywood is like you parachute in, you gather your parachute, you put it away, you take a step, you look around, and you realize, I don't want to be here. And then you take a step, you take your foot that you made the step with, and you put it right back exactly where it was before. But you can never go back because you've already seen what you shouldn't have seen. So, yeah, West Hollywood is just, you talk about, they had some weird stuff going on. One night there was a guy, he's kind of drunk, walking out of an alley, and we jam him, and he kind of smells like crap, like dog shit.
Yep.
He goes, "Oh yeah, I stepped in some dog shit. I was coming through a yard." And I'm like, "Really?" And my partner goes over and shines his light through the alley, and there's a guy laying in the alley. And he goes, "Hey, bring that guy over here." So we bring the guy over there, and the guy's pants, he's passed out drunk, and he's laying in the alley face down. His pants and underwear are down around his ankles, and his butthole is all like loose.
Oh my
And then we
goodness.
looked at the guy and looked at his hand, and his arm, his whole arm up to his elbow was full of crap. So he had been putting his fist in the guy's butt in the alley while he was passed out.
Oh my gosh.
You don't want to pass out in West Hollywood, that's for sure.
That is
Because you never know how you're going to wake up.
that is one of the most disturbing things I've heard in my life, Robert.
I mean, my God, it's just a crazy. Yeah, that you don't. Yeah, I mean, you run into stuff. They call it West Holly weird because um, you are going to get exposed to stuff that you're probably not going to see anywhere else.
Wow, that is crazy. I'm sure you probably have a plethora of stories similar to that.
Look, man, I'm going to say it this way. There's a lot of stories out there, and they're so, I don't know what the word that you would want to use is, horrific, out of bounds, so taboo that you can't believe it, and you laugh about it. But the reality is, that is someone else's pain or displeasure, or someone else being a victim that you're actually laughing at. But I think it's the only way that you can deal with some of the stuff that you see. It's just too far out there.
Yeah, that's fun. A lot of people that I've interviewed say that about just how cops cope, with those situations. Because, like you said, that is an insane situation to deal with. That's part of the reason I'm doing the podcast is so. And I'm glad you told that story because it is brutal and graphic and shocking. But it's good for people to hear. Those are the things cops see and have to deal with. I mean, if you could imagine it, a cop has had to deal with it. Like it's that insane. And that's, I mean, no one in police academy trains you for that scenario you just described.
No, it's Technicolor. It's not just the a black and white thing. It's a real living, evolving thing, and you're smelling the shit, and then you realize the guy's got it all over his arm, and then you're getting grossed out, and you're trying to deal with the situation, maintain your composure. The poor guy in the alley, he's passed out. You don't know if he was a willing participant and then passed out, or if they know each other. I mean, you're trying to figure this out, but meanwhile, you're dealing with the grossness of the whole thing, and you're like, I can't believe that I'm actually here dealing with this. It's crazy.
Yeah, that is absolutely insane. I think you take that. I think you're the winner for most bizarre so far.
Oh, yeah, we got there's a few of them like that. I know
of. Okay, Robert. So next I want to ask you about your most intense or terrifying or just crazy call that you experienced as a cop.
Yeah, look, every cop I know of has been through some stuff, right? I mean, I was chasing a guy in a car. He had a gun. We know he had a gun. He was on a motorcycle. He just robbed someone and going 110 miles an hour, and the car catches fire. Flames start shooting out through the hood of the car, where the hood and the fender meet. My partner's screaming, "We're on fire." I can see the fire. He's trying to get in my lap, and I'm pushing him away. And then, because I'm driving, I'm doing 110 miles an hour. And so then I hit the brakes. He goes, "What are you doing?" And I go, "I'm stopping." He said, "I think the fire's out." Okay, give it the gas again, right? So we're back in the pursuit. Never stop. But so those things happen, right? I mean, there's a bunch of stuff like that happens. You can take every incident in an officer's career and compare it to when someone is killing you. And those things pale in comparison. There is nothing like sitting, waiting for the back of your head to be blown through the front of your face, and not thinking it's going to happen, but believing it's going to happen, knowing it's going to happen. And that's the situation I was in.
Wow.
My partner and I got ambushed in a plane car, June 6, 1991, D-Day. Share being shot with the guys on Normandy, although they went through a horror much worse than I can ever imagine. But I'll never forget the date because it's D-Day, June 6, 1991. So my partner we were sitting in a plane car. We were working in a prostitution operation plane car. It was a rental car, and my partner was driving. Guy walked up, I see him at the front of the car, and in 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, he's at the car door. In that 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, I realize he probably has a gun because I never saw the gun. He was hiding both of his hands from our view.
Mm.
As he's walking up to the car, I pull my gun and I thrust it over my partner's chest because I'm the passenger. As I thrust my gun over my partner's chest, I'm trying to come off safe. Time has slowed down now. This is a very real physical thing that happens in dire situations where time slows down into micromilliseconds, millionths of a second.
I remember Wyatt Earp talked about that.
Yeah. So, and you're talking about stuff I write about in my book here. I talk about Wyatt Earp in my book, and I'm an author too, so I've got these books out. But
yes, I'm gonna get to that for sure. I should have mentioned that in the beginning, but we'll definitely
that's okay.
talk about that.
Yeah. So it's a common phenomenon where adrenaline kicks in, the brain has such a pouring out. The body has such an outpouring of adrenaline, and your thought process speeds up so fast that everything else seems to slow down because everything else is in normal time, but your brain is furiously thinking, how do I get out of this?
Right.
So as I'm shoving my gun over my partner's chest and I'm trying to get the safety off, which is just like clicking a letter on a keyboard. Click, that's it. That's as fast as it takes to get your gun off safe. I'm yelling at my thumb in my head, come off safe, come off safe, come off safe. Come on, come on, come on, come on. You can get off safe now. Come on, hurry up. I need to be able to fire now. And this is about as long as it's actually taking in the time that I'm living the incident. Probably a good 15, 20 seconds where I'm trying to get my safety off. In the reality, it was click off that quick. So those 15 or 20 seconds in my altered time state go by just as the guy turns in a two-handed grip. As he's turning with his two-handed grip, my partner now has seen me with my gun in front of his chest, and out of the corner of his left eye notices movement. And as he turns to his left to look out of the driver's window, the suspect is turning in a two-handed grip and points the gun directly in his face.
Oof.
So now my partner and the suspect are gun to face. Suspect's gun to my partner's face, probably 5 inches away from his face. So in that moment, I knew that my partner was going to die. There's no way I could save him. He said something like, get out of the car. I couldn't quite understand it because time is very distorted at this period, at this incident. While things are going on, time is distorted. Sound is distorted. Visual acuity usually increases. So I realized we can't get out. If we get out, I get out on the passenger side. We've got our raid jackets on that identify as police officers. Sean doesn't have his gun out. If I get out of the car on the passenger side, there's no way I can protect him. I can't shoot over the roof of the car. Sean will be in my line of fire. I've got to fire now. So while the guy had the gun in Sean's face, I start firing over Sean's chest. When I fire, the suspect fires, but my round hit him first. So I'm firing at chest level, but I'm sitting down. So I'm actually firing into his pelvis. I hit him in the pelvis. It buckles him just enough to where he goes down a little bit and fires into the car door. Now, I don't know this. Sean now is trying to get away from the gunfire. He's moving his head to the right. He's trying to come down into my lap, and I'm like, and I fire again. Suspect fires again into the car door, but I don't know if Sean's hit. I don't know where the suspect's bullets are going.
Right.
I don't know if he's hit in the face. I don't know if he's dead. I just know he's coming down right into my lap. I fire again. Suspect now is not just buckled, he's going down. His body is actually moving down toward the ground. I fired again. As this is happening, each round seems to be taking about 10 minutes to fire. Now it's pitch black, so all I can see is the muzzle flash of the gun. The muzzle flash is coming out as a ball of fire slowly expanding, and it's going boo. And as it's going boof like this, the ball of flame coming out of my gun is slowly expanding to a big, huge orange-red fireball. And then just as slowly, in maybe a minute or two time in my altered state, the ball of flame seems to suck back into the gun.
Wow.
As it sucks back into the gun now, I can remember we're in a dark car, no lights anywhere. So what I'm doing now is we're trained to shoot point shooting, so that you would thrust your arm out in front of you, lock your elbow, lock your wrist in. Now you've got a straight shot straight ahead. I'm not firing that way. I'm firing sideways. So what I'm trying to do now is feel my wrist to see if my wrist is straight. At the same time I'm feeling my wrist, I'm using the flame of the bullet, of the flame of the gun coming out of the gun. I'm using that and that light to pick up my sights to see where the tip of my gun is, because I can't see my gun.
You're seeing by gunfire. You're using the
I am
muzzle
aiming
flash.
by gun. I'm aiming by the gunfire. That's how I'm aiming my shots.
And anybody who's shot a handgun at night or any gun, knows that the ball of flame is about the size of a basketball at the end of your barrel, and that's all happening inside your car.
Right, and imagine it happening like each shot is taken 2 or 3 minutes.
Ugh.
It's not just normally it's boom. It's like a little flash, but in my altered time state, each shot is taking 2 to 3 to 4 minutes. Each bullet. And during that period of time, I'm concentrating on where's my wrist. Okay, let's pick up your front sight by the flash, the muzzle flash. See where you're aiming, and get some reference as to where your rounds are going. Round 4 hits them, and all of a sudden, I hear firecrackers behind me. The firecrackers behind me is a guy who's behind me shooting me through the open passenger window.
Wow.
So I take another round, and it feels like a baseball bat hitting you. It's actually, you've got to remember, a bullet is something that tears through flesh, it tears through bone, it tears through organs in your body, and it pulverizes everything in it, in its path. So when the round hits you, it's physically moving you.
Right.
He shoots me as I'm shooting my 5th round into this guy. Now, I know in my head, I got a guy up to my left that I'm shooting that's firing. Sean, my partner, I don't know if he's dead. All I know is he's down on my lap now. I have no idea if he's shot. I don't know if he's dead. I don't know if the guy at the door, if I've actually hit him, although my gun was probably a foot away from his body because I was really leaned over. And now I've got a guy behind me shooting me from behind. And your brain is trying to go, what do I do? And then I blacked out. Pretty common phenomenon. I've written these books, The Red Dot Club. In the books, it's fairly not all the guys, but a lot of the guys black out during the gunfight. And it happened to me, where you actually you become semi-conscious. And when I say semi-conscious, is the world blacked out. I didn't see anything, but I still had thought process. And the thought process was, what do I do? How do I get the guy behind me when there's a guy at the driver's door? How do I shoot the guy behind me? I guess I'm dead. I can't shoot both ways at once. I don't know if Sean's dead. I wonder what it's going to be like, because I'm going to take one in the back of the head. It's not going to be so bad because the other rounds went in my body so fast that when it hits me in the head, it's not going to hurt at all. And my head is just going to come from the back all the way through the front of my face, out through my face, and it'll be over. Not a bad way to go. That's what I was actually thinking.
Wow, you're in that split second, you were coming to terms with your own death.
Oh, yeah, you accepted it. There's nothing you could do. And then I started thinking, geez, I wish I could tell my mom and my dad, and I wish I could tell my kids. I wish I could tell my wife that it didn't hurt, that I didn't suffer. I wish I had the time to tell them, it's not a big deal. Don't be sad about this. I didn't suffer at all.
Mm.
That's accepting you're going to die.
Yeah.
And then I thought, and these are all thoughts that are going through in my subconscious state where the world is blacked out. I don't know where Sean is. I don't know where anything is. I don't know what's happening around me. I'm just having these thoughts in this blacked out state. But it's very real. It's not like it's an imaginary thing. Things are more vivid and more real than they've ever been before, ever. And then I thought to myself, fuck both you guys. I'm going to kill both of you. I'm going to fucking kill you both. And then the next thing you know, I'm back. I'm not unconscious anymore. I look out of the driver's window, and Sean is actually leaned out over the window, shooting at the guy that I just shot. And I'm thinking, how in the world is the guy, and I know I shot him. I had to have. My gun was just a foot away from him. I had to shoot him multiple times. Ended up I did. Multiple times. I hit him 5 times at least on his way down. And now he's up and he's running. I'm thinking, how is that possible? That's impossible.
Wow.
It can't be. And Sean is leaning out the window. Bang, 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 bang. I'm like, oh my God. This shit is for real. I lean over Sean's right arm and I go bang, and I shoot at the guy. He screams and he goes down in the street, face down, and he's screaming. Now my shoulder, because I took a round and one of the rounds hit me, went into my joint in my arm. My shoulder is hurting like hell. I mean, it feels, picture someone with their foot on your neck and someone with their foot on your neck and the other foot is under your armpit, and they've got your arm and they're pulling it out of its joint.
Lovely.
That's what it felt like. Sore is an understatement. And so what I did is I couldn't really move my arm too well. So I kind of thrust my chest up and used my body to throw my arm out of the window. And I yelled out, "Now you son of a bitch." And he took off running. And as he took off running, he went around a planter box. And as he was running that planter box, I took another shot at him. I took a shot at him. And I saw him stumble. And I thought I had him. Turned out I missed him. Anyway, that's the most intense thing I've ever gone through.
Wow.
How was your day?
Man, that is a hell of a shootout. And that's crazy because there's how many times on the job would someone walk up to the cruiser and ask you a question or whatever, and you never, I used to think about that once in a while when I was on the job, like to try to keep myself from becoming too complacent. Because like what you're describing is an ambush shooting like that is just, there's usually just so deadly. So it's so, you definitely had an angel on your shoulder that day.
Oh yeah. I should be dead. I definitely should be dead. But you figure, the incident that I described seemed to take a good 15 minutes as I was going through it. The reality is it was a 5-second interchange of gunfire. So I fired 3 different times, a total of 7 rounds. Sean fired 6. That's 13. Guy at the door, Sean's door, fired 2. So what is that, 13, 14, 15. The guy behind me fired at least 2, 15, 16, 17 rounds in 5 seconds.
That's nuts. So what was their deal? What was their
They were gang members.
Okay.
They were gang members. They wanted to steal our car because they wanted to go use it in the drive-by.
Oh, you were undercover, right? So we
were undercover. They didn't know we were cops.
I'm picturing you.
They had another car a block away with a bunch of gang members and a bunch of, I heard they had AKs and stuff like that. Those were the guns they were going to use for the drive-by.
That's nuts.
So yeah, look, man, I've got these books out, the Red Dot Club. If you guys are going to be a cop, if you want to know what cops go through, the stories, the accounts are about guys and girls who've been shot and who face death. And I describe in millisecond their shootings. And I tell you exactly what it's like to fight for your life, knowing that you're going to die.
I've had a couple of these guys on the podcast, and the episodes are wildly popular. So, the detail that you can get out of a book for those experiences, like you're saying, it's amazing. Everybody I know is just absolutely loves the books. They're doing really well. You have plans for another book?
Yeah.
You got another one in you?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure. I've been asking if we can, go muddle through another one. I should, because the stories are so intense, right? And quite frankly, I can't write the book and tell the story without living the experience with the guys. And what I try to do is get you, the reader, to experience what the people went through. And so far, if you look at the reviews, they're almost all 5 stars. I got over 100 reviews. They're almost all 5 stars. And I've been reading since I've been a kid. There's nothing that I've ever read that goes into the detail, not of just the dynamics, the physical dynamics of shooting and reloading and moving and that. What I do is I go into the mind of the person, which is very difficult to do, and I make you understand and feel what they felt.
Yeah, I've heard it's extremely moving, the book. The reviews I've read are outstanding. Moves some people so much they'll finish a chapter and then have trouble getting to sleep that night. It's that moving to them. It says a lot.
Well, we got the guys that are saying, "Hey, thank you for writing the book because I was in X amount of shootings and now I can compartmentalize mine. I didn't know that my feelings were shared by everybody else." And then I've got the civilians that say, "I didn't have any idea that 3 seconds, 5 seconds could be so horrific." So I get a whole bunch of different comments, and they're varied. And I think that the books, the experiences that these officers went through will hit you on so many different levels, all the way from the courts letting these guys out after they tried to kill you, letting them out in 4 to 7 years, things like that. It'll make you angry. It'll make you laugh. It'll make you cry. It'll give you nightmares. And if I can't reach in and grab you by the guts and twist and make you sit up and go, "Oh my God," then I didn't do my job as a writer.
Robert, what would you give for advice to a young recruit?
We got these video cameras now, and I don't know that it changes a lot. I mean, it changes the perception that people have. Look, man, when you guys go out there, if you have time after your contact, explain why you did what you did. Explain it to the people. It's going to make things a lot easier for you in your career. Don't be afraid to, watch the hands. Hands kill, of course. But you can watch the hands and still talk to people. You can multitask. So And I remember one thing when I got hired, it's pretty interesting because the captain that swore us in said, look, you're going to be going out there and you're going to be dealing with just trash, dirt, violent people, people on drugs, and you're going to just be dealing with the dregs. And sometimes it's going to seem like that's all there is in this world. He said, remember that when you drive to a call, you're passing 50, 100, 200, 300 houses with normal everyday people just trying to make it in the world. So try to keep that attitude that there are some very, very, very good people in this world, and that you're going to be passing them all the time.
That's great advice. Robert, thank you so much for coming on here and sharing that with us. That was some really moving experiences you had. And
Thank you.
Your latest book is Red Dot Club Victims' Voices, correct?
Yeah, if you were to go to Amazon, anyone, and just look up the Red Dot Club, you'll see both books on there, the Red Dot Club and the Red Dot Club Victims' Voices. And if you don't believe me, read the reviews by everybody. They'll tell you everything you need to know as far as how it's impacting them, and it'll give you a real in-depth view, a bird's eye view of what these guys go through, and an appreciation.
Awesome. Thank you so much, sir.
All right. Thank you. Have a great evening.